12th, 2019. Can we all stand for the invocation? Jim's going to give the invocation.
Lord Father in heaven, thank you for this opportunity for our small town to meet and do business, and we ask you, Lord, to guide us in our judgments. We ask this in faith. Amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Okay. Sandy, could you please read the roll?
Councilman Cavalli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer? Here. Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Here. Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our attorney, Gerard Parisi. Princetown regular town board meeting is called to order at 7:10. Okay, privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the course of the meeting, referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public should restrict their comments to items of town business, although there is no official time constraint. Speakers should be considerate of others so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor near the beginning of each meeting. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter the discussion with the persons having the floor. Council members may address any comments during the course of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:11. No takers? Okay, let's close the privilege of the floor up at 7:12. Okay, highway. Nick.
Yes. Well, everything's fine. The county's replacing a lot of mailboxes. That's about all that's going on that I know. I think you got a call about a road, didn't you, Lou?
About what?
A road off of the Darrell Road, or what was it?
Brookside, I think it was, right?
Yeah. That we don't own. Okay?
Yeah, we don't own that.
That was about all that's going on, luckily. No problems with the roads. No complaints about pushing snow around. The county's doing a beautiful job, I guess, isn't it? So.
Okay, I'm looking for, do a building inspector since he just gave that to me. Let's see, building inspector's monthly report, total permits 2, permits issued 2, permits fees collected, what's that, $1,656, inspection 7, code zoning inspections 1, fire inspections 1, final building inspections 0, certificates of occupancy 0, financial report $1,656, check to supervisor's account $2,000, checkbook balance $202.54, activities and zoning 2, working on complaint as needed, working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspection as needed. And Tom Barini is here. If we have any questions, is there any questions for Tom? I can go get them.
No.
No questions? Okay.
Hey. So, not that bad last month.
That's our dog word.
I had a lady called, her dogs were missing a couple of huskies, and made word, and about 24 hours later they showed up over on Quackenbush Road. So the person knew who she was and whose dogs they were, so she brought the dogs back. And there was another lady, she called about, she was concerned about her neighbor's dog being out in the cold. And before I had a chance to get there, about an hour or so later, she called. She said she spoke to the person, so she was gonna let the dog in during the days and stuff like that when she was out working if it was too cold out. So they got that worked out. And I come to find out that the month before, when I said I had no reports, I had 2 calls. I don't know how they went to voicemail, but they went late. And one of them was regarding a cat. I got a hold of that person. They said no problem. And then the other one, I called her back, but she never called me. It was about a kind of an ongoing dispute up on Skyline Drive between her dogs and the neighbor's dogs. So I called her back, but then she never got back to me. So I guess she was all right with it. So other than that, everything's quiet.
Okay. Any questions for Ben?
No.
No questions? Okay. Let's see, George Mead gave me his report from the water commissioner. Gallons pumped, looks like, what's that, 1,070,500. Gallons per day, 38,232. Permits issued permits issued 0. Routine month, quiet is good, normal monitoring of water and quality usage, telephone calls, office work, plant inspections required, reporting performed. Respectfully, George Mead. Is there any questions that you'd like me to ask George? You all good? Okay. Okay, this court, February monthly report was submitted for $8,781. Computer issues seemed resolved. Still working on 2 cases that had bailed, but were never returned for after disposition. The 1 case was sent to the county court, but never disposed of in the courtroom program. The matter will be brought back to the town court for resolution in the next month. Total tickets for February 67. Total tickets so far for March 67. Submitted by our judge, Michelle Dinworth. Is there any questions you want to ask Michelle?
What was the number for February, the financial number?
$8,781. I think you have that there, didn't? I think Sandy, you made a
I
copy.
didn't see a copy of it. I might have missed it. I might have missed it.
Oh, okay. You can have a copy of this if you want to see it.
No, I don't need to see it.
Any questions you want me to give to Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay. Buildings and grounds over here, we completed the inside of the town hall with the LED lighting. It's been completed now. The state police has been completed. I've got 3 estimates for to do the outside lighting. You have to have a boom truck for that, and I think everybody's got a copy of it. You have a copy? So I think if I'd like to get that awarded so we can get this done. I had Santorelli Electric was here today. His estimate was $4,555. DV Electric on Gifford Church Road was $1,660 for the state police building and $1,400 for the town hall. That's all of the outside lighting. And Ed's Electric was $3,980 and $1,960. It looks to me like DV Electric is the cheapest, and it's under prevailing wage. They resubmitted to make sure it was under prevailing wage, since everything in a municipality has to be prevailing wage. So
are we going to make a motion to?
I think we should and get it done with. Oh, by the way, the Rise Engineering is coming over with their electrician to inspect the job to make sure it's done before they send a check for the grant. So the way it looks to me is DV Electric is the cheapest over here.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid to DV Electric for the amount of, what was the total amount?
It's $1,400 and $1,660.
For $1,400 and $1,660 for the outside work,
For state police and
state police and town hall.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Well, I don't have a resolution really, so we
I
were
know.
just discussing, so
Did you want to?
quickly it needs to say that the town board authorizes DB Electric to complete the outside lighting LED work not to exceed $2,060.
No, it's over
No, it's more
2,060.
than that.
It's 3,060.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to add while you were out talking.
$1,400 and $1,660.
Oh, okay, all right, and 16, combined.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Sandy?
So ready. Hold on. Councilman Baloney?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. The state police want some work done on the inside of their building. They want their interrogation room redone. Apparently they have a problem. State came in and said they've got a counter that divides it and it has to be taken out. It's been there for years, but they want it moved over to the wall and a new floor put in, so I've got to get somebody over there to do that. They had a problem with their toilet, I went over and repaired that, so that was done there. And other than that, there's nothing else going on with the town hall. We lost 10 shingles on the roof, and we lost half the roof on one of the pump houses with that windstorm we had. The insurance adjuster was over today. He said it's minor damage, so he said to go ahead and get the shingles done. And he only wants to pay for half the roof on the pump house to do it now, because that's what was damaged. If you do the pump house, you can't just do half. But and we got $1,000 deductible, so I don't know how much it's going to cost, over the $1,000 to do this. But he said to go ahead and do it and submit the bill. But we're going to have to get somebody to do it that's under prevailing wage, so whoever contractor we get to do it to replace it. So I guess we'll sit on that. It's not leaking, the pump house isn't leaking yet, and neither is the roof here, so I guess we're going to have to wait until next month, see what we're going to do with it, get some bids on it, or what is the procurement policy over there?
I have to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's over 500, and I think we gotta get some estimates on it. Other than that, like I say, all the LED lighting in, everybody's happy with it, so that's completed, and hopefully the outside will be done. And the solar panels went down again. They came over a couple of weeks ago and repaired them. They had to put a new something in the back to replace some parts. Said now it's operating efficiently as it can in this kind of weather. So I don't think we're getting much of a savings, maybe $50 a month off of it. But other than that, there's nothing else. Oh, we did lose our sign out in the front. That has to be repaired. The wind knocked that down as you're coming into the town hall. So that's going to have to be repaired or replaced. I think that's it. Other than that, nothing else. Any questions? Okay. We did get a report to just gave it to Jim. Jim attends the UCR meetings, and I guess we're at our maximum for the next 4 years. It's not going to increase anymore for the next 4 years, and I think it's whatever the amount.
Yeah, actually, that's good news because I attend these meetings, and the last meeting I went to, it looked like they were going to do a lot of upgrades, and I thought we were going to be in for a significant raise in our contribution, but apparently not. So that's good news for us.
He said that, I called him, he said that our contract says that for the next 4 years, ours has to stay the same, not for the other municipalities.
They're going down a little bit?
Williamsburg's, yeah, the other ones go up.
We pay so little, though, relative to everybody else. I mean, do you know what the numbers are? I mean, we pay like,
Yeah, you have them there.
yeah, it's a fraction of everybody else. Yeah, we pay, you know, just to look at it, you know, our contribution is very, very little. It's a total of $16,000. So it's kind of hard to, you know, when I go to those meetings, I don't, when you look at the city of Schenectady, for instance, their contribution is $1,808,000. Glenville is $760,000. Niskuna is a little over $500,000, and Rotterdam's $750,000. Our payment's $16,000. So, you know, so it's very hard for us to kind of complain about anything, really. I mean, if it stays the same, as far as I'm concerned, we're good.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, meeting minutes. Is hereby resolved that the meeting minutes of February 12th, 2019, regular town board meeting, organizational meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion?
That's an error in their organizational meeting.
Pardon?
So that's an error in the organizational meeting.
We had that the first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Any discussion?
So subject to that change, eliminating the words organizational meeting, I'll make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Sexual harassment, workplace violence, discrimination, harassment, and MSDS policies. We did have, we discussed it last month, that everybody in the town that either is employed by the town, receives a check, has to have this training done every year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what we have to do. He did come in here one night and he did do the training, and we had a pretty good turnout. The rest of the people that are on different boards trained. I think Nicole and Jim are going to do the training. I think you've got something written up, don't you, Jim?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
If you want to discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, it has to be done. We have to have everybody trained by October 9th. After October 9th, if there's anyone not that has not received this training, the town is subject to being fined, and the fines are rather substantial and very punitive, so we really do want to make an effort. Doing the training is not terribly difficult. It's a little time consuming. Nicole and myself are willing to do that training. I did that professionally for the insurance company anyway, so it's not a big deal, but we do have to get it done. And it's just another mandate that the state, in their wisdom, has put on us, and we have to comply. We have no choice. And we will. We're in the process of doing it. But, time goes fast. It's almost spring. October 9th will be here soon. Everything's got to be done by October 9th.
Carol mentioned to me if I could do it before the next planning board meeting.
Yeah, and
So
I have the stuff,
Okay.
so we can do it together. I'll do a couple with you.
Okay, that sounds
So
good.
that you get the feel of it, and then
Okay.
you can go one direction, I'll go in the other, and we'll get everybody squared
Okay,
away.
that works.
Okay. And by the way, it's a state mandate, and I don't mean to sound like I'm crabbing and complaining about it. It's just difficult for small towns. We don't have a lot of resources and a lot of people, but in reality, it's actually a good thing. because the sexual harassment and the workplace violence, everybody should be fully aware. And in particular, everybody that works or assembles in town hall. I mean, these, unfortunately, town halls and municipal buildings have a higher percentage of workplace violence for a number of reasons, which I'm not going to get into, but people get angry, they get things in the mail, they get upset, they come here and they think they can take it out in a place like this. So it's a good thing, and we're happy that our folks are all going to be made aware of this. It's just not easy to do it, because we are a small town and we only have a handful of employees. However, we have a lot of people that serve on boards and things like that. So there's quite a few folks that need this training.
Does everybody have a copy of the policies here?
I gave everybody a copy of the policies. That was quite a while ago, I think several months ago. And tonight, the motion is going to be that we place these policies. We're going to adopt these policies. And we do have them on file, right, Sandy?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a motion that we do adopt the sexual harassment, the workplace violence, the discrimination, harassment, and the MSDS policies. MSDS meaning material safety data sheets. We need to keep track of any chemicals that we use in the building or out of the building, or anybody uses that works for us. So I'll make a motion that we...
The chemicals include all of the cleaning materials.
Right, cleaning supplies, anything. And again, there's reasons for this, because if somebody got something splashed in their eye, for instance, and they went to the emergency room, if you have an MSDS on the product, material safety data sheet, somebody here could say, oh yeah, we've got the MSDS, this is the product, this is what needs to be done, this is the antidote if it's a poison, that type of thing. So, I mean, these things are practical, and they do need to be done, so I make a motion that we adopt these policies.
Yeah, let me read it first, Jim. It is hereby resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown adopts the sexual harassment, workplace violence, discrimination, harassment, and MSDS policies that were presented for review in December. Jim, you made the motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavoldi?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes, but I was just wondering, why do we have to adopt them if it's a state law? I mean,
We have,
just
because
have to
no,
do
this,
it
part of the state
regardless.
law is you must adopt a policy. In other words, the state law could come in here and audit us tomorrow, and the very first thing they're going to say is, where's your policy?
Yeah, I worked in managed places
Yeah.
that.
So
I've
so
had
they're going to
to-
say, where's your policy? And if we say, well, gee, we're good guys, we do it, we do all this stuff, but if you don't have a policy, they can fine us. So that's why we have to.
That's all I was wondering, I don't know why we need it.
No, we have to have them in a file so they can come in. I did this, professionally, and that's the first thing I did when I went into a place is I would ask to review policy, because otherwise you don't know if the organization has them or not. So that's the reason.
Thanks, yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Schenectady Countywide Solar Consortium Agreement. We discussed this a while back, and I signed the form to send in that we wanted to be a part of it to lower our energy costs. And they just notified me about a month ago, around maybe 3 weeks ago, that we never passed a resolution on it, and the state wants a resolution as opposed to just saying that we want to be a part of it. So Gerard wrote up the resolution, our attorney, and we sent it in again. So this is what this is all about, and we did discuss it sometime last year. I don't remember the date, but whereas a Schenectady County-wide shared services property tax saving plan created a Schenectady County Solar Energy Consortium for the purpose of assisting its members to become 100% solar powered by December 31st, 2021, and doing so, saving taxpayers money in electric costs, and also to eliminate carbon emissions caused by the utilization of fossil fuels to produce electricity Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a memorandum of understanding for the Schenectady County Solar Energy Consortium with General Electric International, or as amended. Discussion?
And this is not requiring us to become 100% solar powered, correct?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Conboley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Amended comprehensive plan review and adoption. Last month, Jack was in charge of the, Jack White was in charge of the redoing the comprehensive plan with his members, and they presented to the town board last month. So I read it over, and they did a lot of work on it. So in order to move this forward, we have to have a public hearing on it. Is there any further discussion on it before I read the resolution?
I read the whole report. It was well done. I appreciate all the work you guys did. I actually learned a lot about town of Princetown by reading it. And I thought I knew everything there was to know about Princetown, but there was a lot in there I didn't know. And thank you and your committee for doing all that work. Appreciate it very much.
So we'll plan on having a public hearing next month? Okay, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby refers the proposed amended comprehensive plan dated February 7, 2019 to the county planning board for Schenectady County as required by section 239 and of the general municipal law of New York State. The town board, the town of Princetown shall hold a public hearing with regard to the proposed amended comprehensive plan dated February 7, 2019 at 7 p.m. on April 9, 2019 at the Princetown Town Hall located on 165 Princetown Plaza, Princetown, New York. The town clerk is hereby directed to publish the necessary notice, including but not limited to publishing notice of the hearing in a newspaper of general circulation in the town of Princetown at least 10 calendar days in advance of the hearing. The proposed amended comprehensive plan dated February 17, 2019 should be made available for public review at the office of the town clerk. Any further discussion? Is there a motion? Sue, do you have a copy of this?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sandy?
Councilman Conboley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. PAC appointment. This is for Greer Pomeroy to be part of the committee. I don't know if anybody remembers Greer. She was the instrumental in giving us the training for what's it called, CPR?
CPR, yeah, CPR first aid, and defibrillator training too.
Yes, so she would like to become a member and of the PAC committee. And hereby resolved that the town board appoints Greer Pomeroy as a member of PAC committee, term to expire on 12/31/2023. Discussion.
The only discussion I have is I know Greer, I've known her professionally. She was an instructor of mine years ago, and I know her to be extremely thorough in everything that she does. And I'm sure that she'll be extremely thorough in this position. So I'm delighted that she's going to be appointed. And I'd actually be happy to make the motion.
Your
I'll
second.
second.
Sandy?
Councilman Conboley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. General funds claim. Is hereby resolved the town board approves claims number 37 through number 60 in the amount of $11,182.18. Discussion. Is
I'll make a motion.
there a second?
Second.
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Water funds claim is hereby resolved, the town board approves claims number 16 through number 27 in the amount of $5,966.86. And discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
Sandy?
Councilman Pavolli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Okay, before we go, you all know that we sent the letter to the governor's office to restore the AIM cuts, which amounted to about $16,000 for us, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah, it was right about 15 and change.
We did get a letter back from George Amor. Thank you for sending me the resolution from the Princetown Town Board regarding the proposed AIM cuts in the governor's budget. I understand the hardship this will place on your municipality and many others throughout the 46th Senate District and the entire state. I have already sent a letter to the legislative leaders to raise my concerns over these proposed cuts and urgency of making sure that they are restored in the enacted budget. I will continue to advocate for full restoration of these cuts throughout the budget process. I have enclosed a copy of the letter for your information. I was encouraged to see the governor address the restoration of AIM funding in his 30-day budget amendments. However, I do not think the funding restoration should be tied to the proposal to collect sales tax on internet purchases. And the letter is here that he had sent to Senator Stewart, Cousins, and Flanagan. I write to request a restoration of $59.2 million to the aid municipalities AIM program in the enacted 2019-20 New York State budget. As you may be aware, earlier this week in his executive budget proposal, Governor Cuomo proposed to cut aid to the towns and villages whose AIM reliance is less than 2%. These cuts will be devastating to towns and villages, many of which have already voted on their budgets for the upcoming year and rely on yearly aid to help with this operational expense and to provide much needed services to their residents. In the 46th Senate District alone, towns and villages are facing more than $1.3 million in cuts. If his funding is not restored, our property tax will ultimately pay the price. I respectfully request that a complete restoration of AIM funding be included in the Senate draft. Their own budget proposal and the restoration of AIM remain a top priority for the final enacted budget. I appreciate your consideration of this request. We may not be...
Yes, right. Supervisor Esposito suggested that after he read that, I think he may have found us a way out of it, and I'll let him explain what he found in there.
Yeah, our 2%, we may be under that, if I'm not mistaken.
We are definitely under that.
So it may not affect us as anticipated, hopefully.
Yeah, we're hoping that. So Supervisor Esposito asked me to check that with the state, which I did. He found that last week, and it looks like we may be able to dodge that. We're not sure, but then our attorney told us that tonight that it's a possibility that they may actually scrap the whole. Is that what you heard? Something to that effect? They may scrap the whole thing. I mean, it's creating a lot of anxiety in towns and villages all across New York. So, you know, if it really is a lead balloon, he might just let it go, and that would be the best thing.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But even if it doesn't, you know, Lou found that possible loophole for us, so we'll pursue that.
Okay. A while back, we passed a resolution to lower the speed limit on Route 7 here. I think it's from Kelly Station Road down to the Rotterdam line. And we did get a response back from the state after all this time. I think it was last summer that we did this. This is in response to the Town Board's Resolution 8.94 forwarded to this office requesting a speed limit reduction on Route 7 between Kelly Station Road and the Rotterdam Town Line in the town of Princetown. As you're aware, the requested section of Route 7 is currently governed by the statewide 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. Included in our investigation, we took radar measurements of the vehicle speeds within the corridor. We found that the 85th percentile speed to be between 58 and 59 miles an hour, with approximately 37% of the motorists exceeding the speed limit. Based on our findings and experience with similar highways, we have determined that a reduction of the speed limit is not warranted at this time. However, given that the 37% of vehicles are exceeding the speed limit, with our highest recorded speed being 68 miles per hour, by way of this letter, we will notify the state police and the Schenectady County Sheriffs of our finding for whatever action they may deem appropriate. Often traffic engineers are asked what harm will it do if the speed limit is lowered, even if it's not justified by an engineering study. Simply lowering the number posted on a speed limit sign does not necessarily reduce the operating speed. A very small minority of the motorists will blindly obey the new speed limit and or any posted regulatory sign. However, most drivers will drive at a speed that they feel safe and comfortable at, which is usually the 85th percentile speed. The result is that when a speed limit is unjustly lowered, there is a significant deviation in operating speeds, and this will be reflected in what traffic engineers call the pace. Safety crash reduction is improved when the 10-mile-an-hour pace speed is closer to the 85th percentile speed. A wide distribution of operating speeds can lead to an aggressive driving and road rage, unsafe passing and rear-end collision, and less safe condition despite lowering the speed limit. Thank you for bringing your concerns about this location to our attention, so they're not going to lower it.
This one really came as no surprise to us. We assumed that they probably would. We had to do it. We were asked to do it. We did it. But what does it boil down? That all that stuff boil down to everybody in town of Princetown? Be careful, because there will be more patrolling of that area, and we don't want you to get tickets. So be careful. At least stay within that 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, and you won't get a ticket.
Okay, we got one more here. This is from Nimer. They sent a letter over here. I would like to thank you for affording me the opportunity to visit your facility as a member of Nimer. We are conscious of the exposure that face local governments and the importance of safeguarding employees, members of the public, and municipal assets. We hope that the recommendations we provide will help you achieve the goal. These recommendations are by no means an inclusive list, rather highlighting certain areas based on your exposures and your prior claims experience. In addition, claim trends that have been impacted Nimer clients have been used in developing recommendations for the municipality. Some of the recommendations, if you agree to implement, can be done with limited resources. We realize that in some cases more resources and time will be needed. The recommendations provided are no substitute for the safety and daily observation of your employees, and the report does not imply that other hazardous conditions do not exist. In addition, this is not to be considered a professional engineering analysis or finding. We assume no responsibility for the implementation of these recommendations. How we are available for consultation on these issues. After you have had a chance to review the report, we would appreciate response in writing within 60 days. Please indicate recommendations you will be able to complete or others that will take some additional time. If you disagree with any of the recommendations, please bring these to our attention. Also, please let us know if you can assist in the implementation of any. We do share this information with our underwriting department. Your proactive approach to these recommendations is taken into consideration at your annual review. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And here's the recommendations that we're suggesting. The town is relying on New York State Law 65A for protection against lawsuits from defects to streets, sidewalks, and culverts, etc. It is suggested that the town enact a local law in consultation with the town attorney to provide maximum protection against such lawsuits by eliminating the constructive notice provision in 65A. Sample policy is available from Nimer Risk Management. And I'm supposed to completed, pending, not completed. I don't know, Gerard, would you like to comment on this?
Well, they're asking you to enact the local law, so we have to have a public hearing on it, I think. I don't want to say too much because it involves potential litigation one way or the other. I'd rather discuss your questions about it in executive session, quite frankly, if you have questions.
Okay.
You know, there's good and bad to everything, and I think there's good and bad to this. And depending on who you're representing, the residents or the town or the insurance company, it might be a different answer.
You're talking about the 65 protection against lawsuits?
Yeah, the constructive notice is basically, the town, you make it sometimes where the town has to be notified of a problem before they can be sued, as opposed to, if there's a giant pothole, the town doesn't know about it, then the town can be off the hook. So that's good for the town, good for the insurance company. I don't know, that's good for the resident with the pothole.
But it's essentially standard in all municipalities, is what he told us when he was here. He said that virtually every municipality has it on the books for that reason, because there's no possible way for us. First of all, it would have to be a town road, number one, and we don't have that many town roads. So we're limited there, fortunately, to several miles of road. If it happens on a county road, county has that already enacted. So in other words, if it happened on Route 7 in pothole, if you didn't call in and report it to the county, forget it, you don't have a lawsuit. This essentially...
That's state road.
The state road, right, I'm sorry, the state has that, and so does the county. We don't. So basically, the only little window where somebody could have a problem is if they were on one of our roads and they went in a pothole and they damaged their car. Then they can sue us. But when he was here, he said that every municipality essentially has this almost by default. So that's what he was saying. But if you would rather go on executive session, we could discuss it there and get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a public hearing anyway, so.
Yeah.
If the residents have opinions on it, you'll be able to hear those as well. I mean, if you have strong feelings against it, we don't have to have a public hearing, but it's up to you. Or if you wanna have a public hearing and potentially proceed or not.
My gut feeling is to put it in it, only because he said that every town and municipality that he knows of has that. And it's unusual to not have that, which I guess we fall in that unusual category. The only good thing is we have so little, basically we have so few roads, so.
We don't have any potholes.
Right, it probably isn't a big issue. So maybe we're just chasing something we don't have to chase.
I mean, obviously, the insurance company wants you to.
They want us.
For their own
Sure.
interest.
They don't want the liability.
Obvious.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's wrong, I'm just,
If they put us on notice about this,
Yeah.
and there was a claim,
Well, yeah, if the town's on notice and you don't do anything about it, and then somebody gets hurt after you're put on notice, that's the problem.
well, I mean, with the insurance company, if they were,
They would still have to pay. They can't get out of paying.
Right.
They don't want to pay because they want us to have that. They want us to have that law enacted, But they would still have, that doesn't free them from liability.
we should have this.
No, it wouldn't affect it. You're not required to do it.
It wouldn't free them from their liability to pay.
So we would only be liable for the deductible.
Basically. For the deductible, and you have to look at it from a statistical point of view, we're liable for the deductible on a very tiny little sliver of miles within the town of Princetown. Most of the miles, roadway miles in the town of Princetown, are either state or county. So that doesn't affect that. It only affects the handful of miles that we have in private roads. So it's really not a huge, it's not like we're at risk by not doing it, huge risk. That's what I'm saying. We're not like, on the precipice of this giant risk. When's the last time you had a pothole complaint? In 20 years.
I have to ask.
I'll tell you what it is, never.
I've never heard of one.
We've never had it.
No, we got all good roads.
Yeah.
So I watch all the holes.
So it's not like it's, pressing. If you want to do it, again, I think we'll take, under advisement from our attorney, we'll talk about it in executive session and we can
Yeah, maybe next meeting, give us something to think about.
yeah.
Okay. Got this letter from got this letter from the county legislature. The county legislature will be considering appointments to the Metroplex Development Authority Board in the coming weeks. As you know, the governing body of the authority consists of 11 members who are residents of the Schenectady County, appointed by a majority vote. The county legislature pursuant to 2653 of the New York State Public Officers Law. Recommendations for appointment by the county legislators will be submitted as follows. 1, upon recommendation of the mayor of the city of Schenectady. 1, upon the recommendation of the city council. 1, upon the recommendation of the supervisor of the town of Niskayuna, and 1 upon the recommendation of the supervisor of the town of Glenville. 1 upon the joint recommendations of the supervisor of the town of Princetown and Duanesburg, and 1 upon the recommendation of the supervisor of the town of Rotterdam. 1 upon a recommendation of the minority leader of the county legislature. 2 upon a recommendation of the chairman of the county legislature, and 2 by joint recommendation of the county legislature. And in preparation for the Metroplex board appointments, I would ask that you forward the name and the resume of the individual recommending for consideration. That was Todd Edwards was the one representing Princetown and Duanesburg, and I sent him a letter back. Town of Princetown recommends the reappointment of Todd Edwards to the Metroplex Development Authority Board. Brought it down to him because the date was almost up, so that was that. Just wanted to notify the board that he's going to probably be the representative for Duanesburg and Princetown again. And that's all I have. Anything else from the town board?
I'm good.
So,
Oh, yeah, that's right, I do have one more thing. The newsletter, I'm working on it now, and I've only got another about 2 or 3 weeks that I can possibly accept any contributions to the newsletter. So if anybody has anything they would like to submit to the newsletter, it needs to get to me within the next, let's say, couple of weeks, and I'll get it in the newsletter.
okay. Sue, got anything?
No?
Doug? Nick?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll make a motion,
Yeah. Is hereby resolved that the town board meeting is adjourned at 7:55?
I can't see it.
7:55.
Sadly,
Yeah, I get,
yeah.
it's about right.
Councilman Beholden?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schaefer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Gregg?
Yeah.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Thank you all for coming.